Good morning, my friends. Happy Wednesday. I'm doing this style of video instead of live so that I can post to my YouTube channel as well. This kind of makes more sense for me so that I can be on more platforms. My guides are the messages. I never thought like this knowing, this connection to spirit, this connection to the earth would ever lead to where it's leading now. But I'm being shown to continue and broaden and dive deeper into the metaphysical. And as I say meta, I do not mean by any means a synthetic or false reality. I mean the metaphysical spaces of beyond this physical realm that we are able to connect with, that offer guidance, nourishment, movement forward, and how we work correctly with this land, with this earth, with our communities. It is absolutely a false reality diving into technology to the point that we disconnect from what we are. We are a glorious nature-made system that is innately created and made and put here to work with the natural systems in the outside world. I'm going to reference one of my most favorite books. It's a book that someone told me, and I cannot remember who told me all these years ago to read this book, but I've had it for a long time, and I reference it a lot because I read it a lot. I go back and read chapters and revel in the medicine of Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer. And there is a chapter that I love particularly because it expresses the essential and vital absolute truth that humans are meant to be here. We're meant to be here. We are meant to work with nature. We are meant to tend to her as she does us. In this chapter, Robin describes the wild sweetgrass patches and how they have been diminishing and receding. And she has watched this as a scientist with a PhD and a professor. She has watched them recede. A group of her and her students began to box out patches of sweetgrass in I believe it was on a ranch. Somewhere, I want to say South Dakota, maybe Nebraska, somewhere like this in the grasslands, the ancient prairies. They were boxing off sections of sweetgrass, wild sweetgrass, and they did this study over a number of years. And what they did is certain patches they would harvest. They would braid sweetgrass bunches, they would honor the land, they would tend to, with their hands, with tools, with ceremony, they would tend to the patches of sweetgrass. And then on the other section, in the other sections, the patches of sweetgrass were left alone. And what happened over the years that they did these studies? The patches of sweetgrass that were left alone continued to diminish, get smaller, wither away essentially. They were dying because they were not being tended to. And on the other side, the patches that were being harvested, that were being brought into ceremony, that were being nourished by the hands of the people conducting the studies, those patches were expanding. They were expanding beyond the confines of the boxes that the researchers put in place. And I see this. I've been wild harvesting in select areas of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, outside of the park, of course. Thank you. For 9 years, I've been in Wyoming, and I have been tending to patches diligently because of my understanding of what my guides, of what the plants whisper to me, of what the animal medicine guides show to me, rather. It's available to all of us. But I watch my patches of root medicine thrive, spread, grow, pulsate with life. I watch my annual flowers, self-seeding annuals, do the same. The patches that I tend to are growing and thriving. They are not dwindling and diminishing. They are not being harmed. This takes very much mindful action, for sure. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of travel and diligence to have the ego in check on a constant, minute-to-minute basis. It is a very intense practice, but it is how we have existed on this planet for thousands and thousands of years. Up until recent history, very recent, 2,000 years in retrospect of the age of the Earth, is a blip in time. And in these 2,000 years that the patriarchal systems have overgrown and taken over and shoved out any other way of living, in the Northern Hemisphere mostly, but in the Western civilization really, there are lots of indigenous people who are still thriving now and tending to the land in these very ways. But we, as a collective in the Western societal systems and structures, now are taking us completely out of the picture. Just this morning, I dove into understanding where some of my spiritual teachers and leaders have been holding space in the recent months as our situation, global situation, continues to develop almost 2 years later. I said from the beginning, this is an opportunity for us to shift our entire lives, to shift back to what matters, to shift back to small communities, to work with technology in a beautiful way, to connect with one another, to guide one another, to nourish each other's path, to create community within community in our physical existence, where we are rooted. And I still see that opportunity. I still feel that opportunity. But I want to talk about teachers. Some of these teachers I've been following for years, not just on social media, but reading books, basing, my first book of The Religion of the Great Goddess when I was like 20. When I was a teenager, we found witchcraft and it was like super cool and like, oh, we're being rebellious by being little witches. And we realized that what was guiding us, me and my friends realized what was guiding us was something that wasn't exactly a good thing. So we backed away and went and did teenager things, as teenagers will do. But what I did find later was the spiral dance. the Spiral Dance by Starhawk. And I've watched Starhawk develop her practices and turn to permaculture and turn to tending to the land in mindful community and doing very beautiful things. And my heart was broken this morning when this teacher made a public statement that her courses were now only available to a certain group of people who have made certain choices as to what to put into their body. That statement, that hard line, is the exact opposite of working with nature and working with our natural forces. This hard line has been made by many teachers. Deepak Chopra, another one. Haven't been always really, really into him, but I definitely have his books, and I've definitely done his meditations. And when we talk about inclusivity, when we talk about nourishing a collective, when we build and base our lives upon the whole picture to only what appears to be sell out to a dark agenda, I don't see how we can continue down this line of division and still be in harmony with nature. Nature has no hard lines. None. When I walk into the forest and I sit with the fact that within a 3-foot, square, there are 25 different plant species, 30, countless mycelium, roots of trees from all around coming into this space. There are no divisive lines. There are no hard truths and hard rules about what nature is. And my philosophy for us is that we hold the same concept, where people make their decisions based on the good of the collective, which is the good for nature, and dividing us into boxes and groups. And as I explore this concept, the realization that we have been conditioned to believe we are supposed to fit in boxes, and I never wanted to fit in a box. I always resisted the box when I was a child, even. I was not an easy child for my mom, who loves mainstream everything. Love you, Mom. We have a great relationship now, but we check off boxes in school. We say, I fit in this box, and I fit in this box, and I am this, and I am that, and I am this. And we hand that in as, here I am, here's my boxes, these are the boxes I fit into. And we've done this since kindergarten. We learn to fill out boxes according to what standards? What standards are these boxes being put upon us for? What systems are we fueling by checking these boxes? And my guides were talking to me about teachers this morning in meditation, about how teachers, guides, they are not meant to be the entire answer. I don't have all the answers. I don't have really very many answers, except the ones that I feel like are correct, and you have the same thing, because we're all human. We're all flawed. if we do not keep our egos in check, as we rise in the status, as we rise into power, whatever that power looks like, if we are not keeping our egos in check, because we are human, we can be easily swayed, we can be easily pushed to feed that human ego instead of listen to the flexibility of our spirit teams. We can use our power to divide, to push our own agendas upon other people. I think that's just a natural thing that happens to people when they have shifted too far to one side or the other. And my guides were talking to me this morning about the teachers that exist and how the teachers, the guides, they only hold pieces of our truth, our individual truth. They only hold a piece. My guides were telling me that each piece of each teacher that we resonate with becomes a whole expression of our individual unique souls, and how those individual unique soul expressions of each individual human create something sustainable, create something gorgeous to bring into the world, to manifest into the world. But when we take one teacher, any teacher, as an absolute truth, as this is the only way, we have lost the point. We have lost the direction of our unique soul because we are only relying on one tiny piece of an incredibly expansive and diverse bubble, diverse meat suit, as some people say, which I find hilarious. You know, look, that square I described in the forest, 3 foot by 3 foot, 4 foot by 4 foot, whatever it is to you, how much diversity is in your hand, your finger, your eyeball. We are not meant to have one absolute answer. We are meant to collect answers that resonate with our hearts. And the minute that we lose that connection to our heart in another human being, the point is gone. Because I have had many teachers over my lifetime, because I've been on this herbalist farming path for a long time, over just about half of my life, as a student, as a human being going in a direction. I've had many teachers in books, in classes, conferences, and the one thing that I always have felt, and I want to express to you as being so vitally important, is to question every single one of them. Always listen to what is in your heart first, how your body is responding, not your mind. The mind is the thing that goes all over the place and gets funky and dilutes messages, dilutes truth, dilutes into absolute truth. There are no absolutes, except that we are here, each moment is precious, and then we die. That's the only absolute truth. And we have no idea when it's coming. So my guides talking about teachers, they were showing me all the different teachers this morning in meditation. And all those different teachers, they come from animals, they come from plants, they come from our soul, they come from our spirit team, they come from extraterrestrial activity in our dreams, They come in free writing, they come in free dancing, they come in the form of other humans. They come in the form of fungus. So many different forms. And we get lost in the absolute truths. These teachers who are professing an agenda of division, an agenda of their truth being yours only. We miss the point then. So I want to express that individuality can't exist anymore, and these teachers are individuals expressing their individual idea of what is correct. And I'm sure there's lots of scheming going on behind the scenes, especially with the powerful. But I want to urge to you to question everything. Make your decisions, whatever feels correct to your body and your heart, not your mind. Don't pay attention to the dangling carrots or the shiny little objects that they distract you with. What is here? What is your body telling you? What are your dreams telling you? Our dreams are not accidents. Our dreams are divine guidance from the realms beyond this physical veil, and they are gems. So I want to say that I love you. If you're digging what I'm saying, share it. I do not want to ever be an absolute teacher, an absolute guide. I want to spark in you that you have the same thing I do. You have the ability to talk to your guides. You have the ability to talk to your ancestors. You have the ability to hear messages from plants and trees and fungi and animals, even like your home. You have that ability, all of us do. And don't let anybody else single you out, tell you that what you're doing is incorrect, because each of us are creative, creator, magical beings with divine imprints in our bodies. And it's time to express and bring to the world each and every single individual expression that you hold in your body. I love you. Have a beautiful morning and day and moment, and I will talk to you very soon.